Yeah. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Okay, today I am here with the wonderful Ioana.
Hello.
She on Instagram is Ioana Goodwin, Ioana. One funny story to help you remember how to find her is when we first met Ioana, I was calling her Iona. So see, it's Ioana. Ioana Goodwin. And then somebody else was like, bye, Ioana. And I was like, what'd you say? She's like, her name's Ioana. I was like, yes. I've been saying it wrong the whole time.
Oh, it's fine. I'm used to it.
Happily, yes. Happily, you must be used to it. So you didn't hold it against me.
No, never.
Okay, so I'm here with Ioana, and she is one of our Akzentz educators here in Utah on the Polished Pinkies Pro team. And we love her. She's so talented. So be sure to follow her. But today we're going to be talking about the brand new Trinity shades. And she's actually going to sculpt a nail for you, which you should all pay attention. And then rewatch and then practice and then rewatch and practice because she's going to show you some great techniques today. So we're just going to talk about these new colors. There are already 3, right? There's SC1, SN1, and SW1, along with clear. Mm-hmm. And then on Saturday, the new colors were released. So we have SC2, SN2, and SW2.
Okay, I'm going to start with this one. This is SC2. It's a very, very pale pink, but you will see this is the color I'll be using today to sculpt the nail. When the color is cured, it looks almost white, almost like a milky white, so it's very pale. It's a fun one.
I did wonder what it was going to look like cured because in the promotions for it, it was more white.
Yes.
And then when I opened it and saw that it was pink, I was like,
yes, it does cure a bit more white.
But it cures a bit more white, but it just has a soft pink to it, keeps that cool tone, or what?
Yeah, we'll see. You'll see it on the nail.
Okay,
I think it's best when we see it on.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's more, I'm always a cool color, so that's what I lean for.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, next we have SN2. This is a neutral, very skin tone color. It almost has that little bit of brown undertone to it, but it's lighter than SN1. SN1 is a bit more pink, a bit darker. This one is lighter for all our nude lovers.
Yep. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, SN1 definitely has more pink to it, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
And then SW2. This is my favorite. This is a good one.
I do lean toward a mauve.
Yes.
You know that in my mind, I'm like, I can't wear this color. It's warm and I'm cool. Except then when I see it, I'm like, okay, I'll wear it. Look how beautiful that is.
I don't know if I would have thought that this is a warm thing. In my brain, I'm like, oh, warmer peachier. But no, but it is a warmer pink. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's gorgeous. Stunning.
Yes.
Love it. Okay, so tell me about Trinity. Teach me about it.
Trinity, as the name implies, it's a 3-in-1 product. So it has a base coat, a builder gel, and top coat all in one product. So let's say if you wanted to use it for an overlay, you could use it in one step. You would just wipe the inhibition layer and then you're done. You don't know if you use the no finish filing technique. So it's great for that. It can be used for sculpting. Trinity is the thinnest viscosity gel out of the performance line. So even though it's the thinnest, it's still just as strong. Sometimes it's confusing for people, when you think thinner viscosity gel, you think it's less strong or more flexible. No, it's just as strong as all the other gels in the line.
Yeah, viscosity doesn't necessarily mean strength, right?
Exactly, yes.
It's just how it applies or how you work with it. But it's thinner than Enhance.
Yes, it is thinner than Enhance.
So then if it's thinner, am I only working one nail at a time?
That's what I do. I prefer to do it that way because I use the no finish filing technique usually when I do overlays or fills. I don't finish files. So
when you're working one nail at a time, so you're doing this one goes in the lamp. Do you move to this hand or do you wait for this one to cure?
I move to the next hand.
So then you move over here and then we're going back and forth like this. Okay, good. Because it's thinner, is it running into sidewalls? Is it difficult to work with that? It
can if you are not used to it or if you apply too much, you can definitely run. That's why I prefer to work one nail at a time to keep that from happening. And product control is essential. Knowing when you're working with a thinner viscosity gel.
And then I guess my last question would be, is it heat? Like, does it change in temperature? So if it's warm in the room, does it become runnier? If it's cooler in the room, is it thicker?
Yes.
Okay, so it does, that plays a effect too.
Yes, and I feel like that's valid with all gels.
Yeah, I guess I think of it less with, like, say, Balance.
Yes.
Because Balance is thicker and doesn't quite move. It's not very viscous. But whereas these, I always want to prepare myself. Like, okay, my client is hot.
Yes,
like
it
her
is
hand
is
hot,
runnier.
so I need to work a little faster or be aware
Absolutely.
And get her in the lamp like pronto. Don't be playing with it too much.
Yes.
Also, I guess one more question is: the more I play with it, the more runny it becomes. Is it one of those gels?
I don't notice that.
Okay.
But then I don't play with it too much.
Okay.
But I do try to perfect the shape. But I don't notice that it gets runnier the more I try to perfect it.
Okay.
So
that's something also I'd like to just prepare myself is what am I up against?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I need to work with this gel? So I'm trying to think of any of the questions that have been asked of me earlier on different products. The last thing that I want to say is not until very today. How old am I today?
Mm-hmm.
Did I think Trinity for 3?
I just thought the same.
I was like, wait, Trinity 3, just as the name
Yeah.
suggests. No, I didn't ever get
No,
that.
you didn't?
No,
Yeah.
not until right this very second.
Well, there
so
you go.
you're very smart.
She's an ace.
She is an ace.
We have a question.
Oh, yes.
Kristen, one swatch would love to hear which Luxio color they're closest to, Haven Blush, etc. Oh, that would be
Great
good.
question.
Yeah.
I would say this one, delicate. But when it cures, delicate is it more white?
Yeah,
it stays
when it
pink.
cures, it's going to be closest to Haven. But
More close to Haven.
I'm going to show them to you on actual nails because I've already sculpted 2 nails with these 2 shades. So you can see.
So maybe we'll see once it's
cured, once it's on the nail.
Then we'll give it a name.
And yes, and we'll compare it to existing swatches so you can get the best idea.
Yeah, that's great.
Going to look like.
I love this color. Although I love this
really
color,
pretty.
but then this one I'm like, ooh.
I know.
Ooh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Very pretty.
Okay, I'm going to switch out seats. We do have a model for her to sculpt on so that you can see the product in action. And I'll try and field any questions that come over.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Perfect. So like I said, today we're going to be using the shade SC2. And I have Amy here with me. She's going to be my model
to
today.
ask your questions. Like I do have, I can see your questions coming over. So if you have questions for Ioana, please be sure to ask them.
Okay, so these are the two nails I've already sculpted. And this was done using SW2. This is the shade. And this is SN2. You can see what they look like on her skin. Sculpted nails. And now we're going to be using this shade. Okay, so I've already prepped the nail. I've already cleaned the cuticle off the nail plate. And now I just need to clean it one more time before we go on, move on to sculpting. So I'm going to give it a good wipe. Make sure we get all the dust and grease off the nail plate. And with colored gels, I usually like to use a clear base beforehand. So I know Trinity does not require a base coat. However, for my peace of mind and for, I don't know, this is just what gives me peace of mind using X-Bond before Trinity, especially when I use the colored bases because I feel like you get the best adhesion when you use a clear base before colored bases. So I'm going to go in with X-Bond, a very, very, very thin layer of X-Bond, and I'm just going to scrub this in. So I like to apply the base coat on the nail before putting the form on because that way I know my nail is prepped and ready for product to go. Because, you know, sometimes when you finish with forms and it takes you a few tries to get it on just right, you can touch the nail plate. And I'm going to sure get the free edge really well. I'm going to have her go in the lamp for 30 seconds. All Akzentz products are 30-second cure. So I like to do the base coat beforehand because that way I know I'm ready. I don't have to clean the nail plate again in case I do touch the nail plate.
If by chance somebody still has a UV lamp,
yes.
How long is it cure?
That would
they
be
are UV and LED.
Yes. So for UV, if you still have the UV bulbs, that would be a 2-minute cure.
But if you do have a UV bulb, I suggest getting an LED. Your time is going to reduce so much. Okay. Today I'm going to be using the Magpie forms. Akzentz forms are great too. However, I prefer these. I feel like Akzentz forms are still, let's say they were created 15 years ago, and you can tell they were created 15 years ago. They're still good, but however, I feel like there's better products on the market now. So there we go. I will use these Magpies today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this center tab first. As you can tell, I'm not removing the form off the paper. That way my form won't stick to my gloves. So it's going to make my life so much easier. Okay, now I'm going to be measuring the form to her nail plate. I'm going to have you, there
you go. Thank you.
That's definitely a new technique.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
And I feel like once you get used to this, it's just so much easier. And now I'm going to measure the form to her nail plate. As you can tell, these forms have quite a deep cutout, so it looks like I won't be having to customize them at the hyponychium, in the hyponychium area. Okay, now I'm going to be cutting the form. Let's see, I'm going to measure one more time before I go and make the cut. I'm going to see where I need to cut the form. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it to release the tension. That way I don't have any tension from my form. And I'm going to be able to sculpt the nail without having to use any pinching tools, because this is going to give me a narrow shape. And now we come back.
That was one of my favorite tips when I first learned how to do forms, is to cut those dog ears to
Mm-hmm.
release the tension. But then today I have to say my favorite tip is that you kept it on the paper. Like my
Yeah.
mind is blown. What?
Especially
Say what?
because you're wearing gloves. And
Right.
Yes.
I ripped half my forms.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. So smart.
The glove issue.
So now I'm just going to close the lower tabs first. Just the top ones. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just place the form. All right, and as you can see, I was able to fit the form quite narrow to her shape, so I'm not going to be needing any more pinching tools after that. And because I'm doing a square shape, I'm keeping the form straight. I'm not pinching the top of the form, the end of the form. It has to be a straight tunnel.
Can I see down the barrel?
Absolutely, after I fix it.
Okay.
Okay. And always check with your client if they feel any discomfort under the hyponychium, in the hyponychium area, because sometimes when we push forms in it, they can feel a lot of discomfort. How does it feel?
Feels fine.
Feels fine? Okay. All right, let me see. I might have, let me see. Push it just a little bit more. And as you can see, I touched the nail, but because I have the base on first, and now this is down. Can you see? Let me see, I'm gonna flip your hand real quick. So you can see down.
So if I want a square, it needs to be a barrel like that.
Yes,
Okay.
it has to be a barrel just like this.
Okay.
Perfect. And I'm gonna make sure to fix the form under the finger here so it doesn't move. Okay. And now I'm ready to sculpt. And I'm gonna show you another trick. This is a new form. And this is gonna be my ruler. Since I've already sculpted 2 nails, and now I need to know what length I'm gonna be sculpting this nail. So I'm gonna measure this and use this as a ruler. So I have roughly almost 6, about 5.5-ish, almost 6.
Ioana?
I don't know. So it's going to be almost 2 at 2. Almost 2 at 2 we're sculpting the nail. And when I sculpt, I like to use an art brush to do the free edge first. This gives me more control on the product. So this is an Akzentz art brush number 2. So I'm going to start with the free edge first. So I'm going to take some gel.
Ioana, I don't need to keep interrupting you.
Yeah,
Since
absolutely.
I have your phone and you have my phone, I just commented a wow. But I'll let you into that.
Okay, so I like to use a small art brush because that way I don't get the little strings, the little frays at the free edge. And it's just easier to control the product this way. And if I don't have that, there's going to be less filing for me. And I'm always down for less filing. So when sculpting, you always have to make sure the product touches the corners there. And I'm going to fill in the free edge. I don't want to use too much product, but I want it to be even. I don't want to have any gaps. Okay, I've got that corner there, and it's okay if I'm touching the skin just a little bit. It's gonna cure in just a little bit, so it's not sitting on her skin uncured for long. And then I'm gonna detach that part. But these are always the tricky part, the tricky corners right there. All right, I'm gonna try to make sure I have even surface. And I'm gonna have her go in the lamp for 30 seconds. Go in. Do we have any questions?
Nope.
No questions. Perfect.
And everybody's watching. I'm enthralled. I'm learning so much.
The brush I'll be using to sculpt today is the Akzentz 111 brush. It's the oval 111 brush. I've had mine for years and it's still in perfect condition. If you take good care of your brushes, they will last you years and years. And especially, this is a Kolinsky brush. And I find that natural hair brushes usually don't, you know how sometimes brushes will bend at the tip?
Yeah.
That usually happens with synthetic brushes, especially. So I like that with this particular brush because it's Kolinsky, it does not do that. So I can have it nice and flat and straight.
I agree.
So if you take good care of your brushes, they will last you a really long time. Okay, we've had this cure in the lamp for 30 seconds, and now I'm just going to go ahead and remove the form. You can keep the form on if you're nervous that the extension is going to break, or if it makes you sweat a little bit, you can totally leave it on. However, for me, it's easier to work with it off because I can see better what I'm doing. And there we go. Now we have the extension, the tip, and you can see how the color does not look pink anymore. And I think this would be also a great product. Let's say you have to build a free edge and your client has natural nails and they broke their one nail and you have to sculpt one free edge, but you don't want it to be clear or pink. You kind of want it to match. You can sculpt your extension using this color. And I feel like it's pretty close to what a natural nail would look like.
I agree.
And if you want to use a sheer color on top, there you go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and sculpt the nail. And usually thin viscosity gels and really thick viscosity gels are the hardest to sculpt with. They're the most difficult for text to sculpt with usually. So because this is a thin viscosity gel, I'm going to be working in layers. So I'm not going to build the whole structure at once. I don't want to have to chase product. I don't want it to run on me. So I'm just going to be working in layers. I'm applying a slip layer first. This is just going to help guide the product where to go next. And it's always so important to apply this step so as neatly as you can, even though it's just, you know, let's say if you're using base coat or whatever, it still has to be neat. Because let's say you touch the skin with the base coat, then the following layers are going to follow right where that first coat went. So I'm just going to take a bead, and I like to keep the gel on one side of the brush. And I'm going to place this on the nail. And I'm not going to go all the way to the cuticle because that slip layer that I used beforehand, that's going to help the product go into those places.
Do you prefer the smile method for applications?
Yes,
like
for
TikTok, what you're doing?
Yes. Yes, especially for thinner viscosity gels. So right now I'm trying to get an even layer all over the nail, especially at the free edge. And I want to make sure I kind of get the thickness even. And I'm not too worried about the structure because, like I said, I'm going to be working in layers. So let's see, I got a bit of product there, but that's okay because this is where we have sculpted the free edge. I'm going to flip her for just a second. And then I'm going to look down the barrel of the nail to see, like, where do I have more product? Do I need to move it around? All right, I'm going to have it go in. And Trinity has a heat spike. So 1, 2, have your client come out the lamp. And I usually like to count with my clients. 1, 2, and I have them come out so they don't feel that hot heat spike. So and while Trinity does have a heat spike, it's very short-lived. So you feel it and then it's done. It lasts for like a second.
Oh.
Okay.
I didn't turn it back on.
Yeah, it needs 30 seconds to cure. And with pigmented gels, I always prefer to work in thinner layers. That way you make sure it's cured all the way through and you don't apply just a thick layer and then you don't have the chances of it not being cured inside in the middle.
If it was a clear.
If it was a clear, I wouldn't be worried about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But with color,
with color, yes, I like to. Sometimes I even let them leave my clients in the lamp a little bit longer, just for my peace of mind. Even though the product is cured, I'll be extra sure, just in case.
Yeah, we definitely never want to uncured product. So yeah.
All right. Okay, so this is one layer, and see, do you see the difference?
Yeah,
it's
interesting.
Yeah,
it's more white.
Plus, it's gonna. If you've noticed, if you've used Trinity before, especially the clear one, you may have noticed that it turns a little yellow right after you pull it out of the lamp. Let's say you use it over white, it can look a little yellow. It only looks like that when it's warm. Once it cools, it's back to being clear, and this pink is gonna turn more pink. It's not gonna have this yellowish hue once
it'll just turn more white.
Yes.
With that slight pink. Gotcha.
Once it's perfectly cooled, all cooled down. Okay, I'm going to do another slip layer, and now I'm going to focus more on the structure. So I'm going to need to add a bit more product in the apex zone, not much. If I flip the nail to the side, you can see that I don't need to add much more product. So I'm going to add more to the apex, and I'm going to do the same kind of movement. And now I'm focusing on distributing the product evenly, especially on the sides, because I feel like that's where a lot of times we're missing product. We don't have enough product. And the free edge here. Okay. I'm going to go and don't be afraid to turn your client's finger so you can see what you're doing. You have to see what you're doing. I'm going to flip it to the other side. And that's going to be okay. We're going to file that.
So when you're turning someone to the side using Trinity, you just need to be aware of how long. Like
yes, you can't sit there for too long. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm going to have
Do they say dilly-dally in Romania?
No.
That's only in America.
Yes.
We don't dilly-dally.
Okay, now I flipped her upside down, and let's see. I have a bit more product here, so I'm just going to go ahead and move that product in the apex zone. That way I don't have to file it. I don't have to file too much. Okay. I'm going to pull this product again. Okay, go in the light. And I try to avoid doing this. Like, see how I just wiped my brush on the side of the jar? Usually when I pick up gel, I do this, and then I just swirl it in here. And then, so I don't have to wipe my brush on the side of the jar, but I will now. Try to stay inside. That way you don't get the leak around your jar.
What do you do? You put it in how do you get it off?
Let's say I just finished the nail, and then I just wipe it off, and then we're done. And then now my brush is all clean. I don't clean my brush with cleanser or anything. I just wipe the gel off of it, and I'm ready to store my brush. Okay. That's what the color looks like now. I'm going to go ahead and wipe the inhibition layer off now.
Remind me again the colors that are on her nail.
This is SW2.
Oh, that's that mauve one.
Yep, that's the warm. This is the neutral, SN2.
That one's actually really pretty too when it's cured.
And then this is SC2.
Beautiful.
And you can see on the nail now it looks almost milky white.
Mm-hmm. Like
yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to show you now. See how I just wiped the inhibition layer off of her nail? So let's say I worked in a no finish filing technique. This is a top coat. So now it's very shiny. I could be ready to go if I were doing an overlay. So there's the top coat property of it. And it's a stain resistant top coat because it's a hard gel. Okay, now we're going to move on to filing. The first thing you want to file is the free edge. And usually the ring finger and index finger, you want them to be the same length. So these are the two nails that I measure. So the free edge is the first. And I keep measuring because I want them to be the same length. That looks good enough. Let's see, I need a little brush. I'm going to go ahead and grab one. Do you have one?
It's little, it's not big.
I love the little ones. That's what I use. I like to use these little brushes, and I just put them on my ring finger and just keep them there. It's always nice to remove the dust to see what you're doing. So now I just look at I'm going to flip her hand. I'm going to look down the barrel so we can see the thickness of the free edge, and then we can see where we have.
Put it up closer to the camera for me. Yeah. And then move back forward.
So we can see where we have more product, where do we need to file. And I can see I have a bit more product in down the middle of the nail. I don't have much filing on the sides, so, but I'm gonna detach the product I had there, and we're gonna file that. And we're filing straight, up and down, straight. We're not holding the file at an angle like this or like that. It's straight up and down.
I'd also like to point out that you're not flicking.
No.
Flick the,
Nope.
Nail file. No flicking.
No. That way you have more control on what you're doing.
What does that mean? Like
when you flick down,
you like
go
flick
under.
yes.
You are
absolutely.
So we're keeping straight.
No flicking.
No flicking. So we're going straight up and down. Okay, I got that product there. And now I'm going to focus on the free edge of it. Like this, we have a little, oh, there we go. Now I can see the free edge a bit better. We can see the free edge is pretty even all the way around.
Go up closer. The camera. There we go.
So I don't have to do much filing on the free edge. So I'm going to start with the free edge just a little bit because I know I have to do the top. This is where we do the top first. And then we check the thickness.
When you finish file, do you stop and then check and stop? And then check?
Absolutely. I always check because I don't want to overfile and I don't like to go back and forth, back and forth. I always detach my file because...
Put your finger on top of the nail when you do that, when you check.
I put my finger here because it helps me see better the thickness of the nail. The finger helps. And sometimes, especially if you're using clear gel and if you're looking down the barrel of the nail, you can't really see. But using your glove, I'm going to flip you again. It kind of helps you see the thickness better. So first I'm doing the free edge. And like I said, short movements, not back and forth.
You're picking your file up in between every
yes.
brush, right?
Yes. And filing is so important. I feel like this is where you can ruin all your hard work if you don't use a file correctly. And it took me a minute to get used to filing a certain way. If you notice, I'm not going down like this, down at the free edge of the nail. I'm keeping the file this way because I don't want to thin my free edge even more. So I'm just keeping the file this way. Okay, I'm happy with my free edge. So now I'm just moving on to the sides. I'm going to flip my client's hand. And we're doing longer strokes, but also we're connecting all these file movements. We're connecting them. And this is the apex area. This is where I'm not touching that one right now. I'm just going around the cuticle area. And make sure to always tense your client's skin. Tense it, pull it, so you don't overfile their skin, especially if you've done a manicure already. You don't want to go over their skin with a file to cut them. Okay. And as you can see, I like to turn their finger this way and go with my file this way instead of filing like this, because I can see what I'm doing better. And it's it's a natural movement for me rather than like this. This does not come naturally to me. But when I flip their finger this way, this does come naturally to me. So it's a lot easier for me to do it this way. Okay, so I've done the edges, the cuticle area. And now I'm going to take a look at you can see we have this, I don't know, can you see? I can't tell if I'm in frame or not.
You're good. Uh-huh.
We can see the apex area. So now I'm just going to go ahead and blend this area. But we still want to have the apex. This is what's going to give us the strength. I feel like in our industry for the longest time, we were thinking, okay, the bigger the apex, the stronger the nail, or the thicker the nail, the more durable it's going to be. Well, that's not true. It's all in the architecture of the nail, the way you sculpt it. You need to have all the elements, the apex, the sidewalls, the arch or the C-curve of the nail. Those are all elements that give the nail strength. So nails don't have to be thick and bulky to be long lasting. Okay, so now I'm just blending the apex area with the rest of the nail. And you could use a buffer, but I'm using a 180 grit file, so I don't feel like I need a buffer. I'm just using the file gently to I'm going to flip my client's hand again so you can see from the side. From the side. And you can see the apex is not humongous. We don't need a huge apex. And this is the last step we do in filing. This is the very last step you do when filing. All right. Kayla said she does that first.
I would have, but I love that you could see.
Yeah, this is the last step you want to do because sometimes it can lead you wrong. You know, sometimes if you were to file this first, maybe you file too much and then the whole structure of your nail is just...
Or I took too much and became
yes.
when I didn't need it to be.
That's exactly what
yes.
I'm going to have to add
to it.
So always flip your client's hand to see what you are doing. You need to see what you're doing.
So if you were doing all 10 nails, would you do this step on all 10 nails, flip their hand, do the other side on all 10 nails?
Yeah, so I would do the free edge on all 10 nails to make sure they're all the same length. And then I would file and do that on all 10. It's just easier when you get into a routine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to flip her this way too, so we can do this. And again, I'm keeping my file straight. I don't know if it looks straight on the camera, but it is straight. I'm not. And for square nails, one characteristic of square nails is the 90-degree angle of the free edge. You can see I have a perfect straight line here that's parallel to the central axis of the finger. And it's perfectly straight. So we have a perfect 90-degree angle here at the free edge. Same here. I might need just a tad more here. Okay, and I'm going to show you the free edge again. Yep, so that's the free edge. And the free edge, like I said, does not have to be thick in order to be durable. You have to have your the side walls of the nails, they have to be perfectly straight, and you have to have your C curve in order for your nail to have durability, and your apex. Those are key elements. All right, so now I could use Trinity again as a top coat, or I could go in with Shine On. But I think let's use Trinity as a top coat. So I'm going to take the same.
In this case, would you use Trinity Clear, or would you go in with the same color?
I would use the same color.
Okay.
Yeah. So there we go. We have it. And I'm going to go ahead and use the same shade. And again, as a reminder, look at the difference in the jar versus on the nail. There's a slight difference.
So now to answer Kristen's question, what would you say that S and Luxio is?
Let's pull out some swatches. Do you want to pull out some Luxio swatches so you can see? Okay, so now I'm using Trinity again as a top coat. So first I'm applying it in a very thin layer. And then you have to let it settle for a second so it can self-level. And I think I'm going to apply just a tad more because it is a thicker viscosity than your regular top coat. I want it to self-level and get that smooth look. I'm going to give it a second. Now I'm going to take my brush. And if I need to move it in any spots, especially at the free edge, that's where it usually wants to collect to give it that bulbous free edge. But I'm just going to go ahead and pull it. And again, I'm going to let it settle for just a few seconds. And you can always flip your client's hand upside down, especially if you're applying more product. That way we don't ruin the shape that we've just created. Okay, I'm going to pull a bit more here. Okay, and I'm going to go in the lamp for 30 seconds to cure. Okay, and now we're going to be able to compare the colors to existing Luxio colors to see what they're most similar to. Okay, let's see. I think Haven is going to be closest to, we're going to see.
Yeah, the A.C.E.
Mm-hmm. One of those two. What would you say? I feel like Innocent is different. I feel like the warm too.
I would say like Sophisto or...
I mean, that's the neutral one. Let's see. The warm warm is the mauvey one.
Yeah, the mauvey one. That one I was pulling out, but Flawless has broken off of our swatch. But Cherish is too dark.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's closest to Flawless.
Let's see. I'm gonna see her now. Was in there for 30. See how it got a little bit yellow? It's gonna go back to its normal shade once it cools down. So I'm gonna let it cool off for a minute before I go ahead and wipe the inhibition layer.
I just watched this. So you let it cool off first?
Yes, let it cool off.
Also, I might add that in person, it is not as yellow as I see on camera. The camera just adds a little bit of a hue. So
Yeah, camera for sure does not really show colors through the color.
But in person, it's like faintly yellow. No,
Okay.
It's not yellow at all.
There we go.
Stunning.
So these are all the whole 3 shades: SW2, SN2, and SC2. All 3 colors. Okay, let's see. What are they most similar to? So this is, where's Haven? This is Haven. Pretty close. This looks a tad more yellow, but like I said, it's probably once it cools off completely, I think it's going to be closest to Haven. And then, Glimpse, Carmel, one of these two.
Maybe Carmel.
Carmel more.
I feel like it even has a bit more brown, like Sophisto.
Yeah. Sophisto. It is right here.
Okay, maybe not that much brown.
So it's like in between. Let's say like a. There you go. There's Carmel and Sophisto, so you can see.
Like it's right in between.
Yes. And then for the warm 2, for the SW2, I don't know. What's the closest?
A little bit like Bossy and Curiosity, but
Kinda, but yeah.
I feel like it's closest to Flawless, but unfortunately
The swatch is not here. Yeah. This is compared to Innocent. Innocent is a tad lighter. Yeah, it's different. It's definitely more different.
Oh, there was the Flawless, and look, it's not anything similar to my memory.
Nope. Yeah. So Bossy Curiosity somewhere in there. Yeah. So these are all the 3 new shades of Trinity. Like I said, it can be used for overlays on the natural nail. It could be used for sculpting. And when would you choose to use Trinity on the natural nail? Let's say you have clients who like to wear their nails longer. I would not use it on short nails where you don't have a free edge. I don't feel like you need the strength of Trinity for that. But you have clients with longer nails, and when they come back, you notice that their free edge is kind of warped. It's kind of misshapen a bit. And you're like, oh, their nails didn't look like this when they left my chair. And that's because their nails tend to like curl. And so for those kinds of clients where you want them to come back with a straight, great looking nail, I would use a hard gel like Trinity for that. That would help. That helps keep the shape of the nail. And what's the word? Unlike
the structure,
unlike a flexible gel. Yeah.
So many times people think Luminary is a hard gel, but it's not.
It's not.
Still a soak-off product.
It is.
So it has a lot of flexibility to it, whereas a true traditional hard gel is going to keep its shape, and your client is going to come back with this incredible, down just a little bit, this incredible shape. I mean, it's going to come back looking like this just with growth. But how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Or if you have clients who chip their corners or come back with broken nails or they crack down the middle, that's usually a sign that they need a more rigid product. So Trinity for that, it's a great product for that. And especially if you like working in the no finish filing technique, it just self levels so beautifully, and it's just wonderful.
But even finish filing, it was easy to file.
Yes,
Watching
it is.
You, it was like, oh wow, that shapes so easily.
Yeah, and because I did not have to file too much, it made my life so much easier because knowing where to place your product, how much product to place where, it makes your life way easier when it comes to filing.
Now, you are teaching a class soon. How can people sign up for your class?
I am teaching a class on October 22nd, so it's almost 3 weeks away, less than 3 weeks away now. They can sign up by messaging me, or I have a link in my bio where they can just go online and purchase the class.
So find you on Instagram at Ioana, Ioana. Remember Ioana?
Yes.
That's not how we say it. Ioana Goodwin, and you'll find her there, and then you can sign up for her class. And it's going to be an excellent class. I mean, this was just a brief example of the things that you can learn
Yeah.
and really up your abilities.
Yeah, and in that class, we're going to be going over all the hard gels that Akzentz offers. So we're going to be talking about all of them, when to use, what kind of gel, how do you place a form, for what shape, where do you place your apex, how do you file, when do you file, all the filing steps. So it's a lot of information in that class, and it's a
So in
full
class,
day.
you're not just touching on Trinity, you're also
No.
touching on enhance,
Yes.
balance, structure, all of them?
Yes, all the gels.
That's going to be a lot of information. What a
Yes.
great class. Excellent. Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And until next week, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.